Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. Well, it's Gizmo Sunday. I've said it before. I'm very grateful for Hainbach and his test equipment mad scientist workshop. If you haven't visited his YouTube channel, treat yourself. Of course, I'm an old school synthesist. He and AudioThing, the plugin manufacturer, have had a bunch of plugins come out in, working together. And the latest one, I got my hands on it yesterday. The latest one is Lines. Now, it's technically, I guess, an effect processor, but because of the way it works, it's also a feedback synthesizer. You can generate textures and even bass lines because there's a little sequencer built into it. It's a giant, horrible, humongous piece of gear you couldn't lug around for yourself, but we've got this sort of terrific emulation of it. Let's listen to it. We'll feed some audio into it. We'll play around and just see what it's like. It's on sale right now over on AudioThing's website for $39. If you like this kind of thing, this is just the kind of thing you like. Well, you can see what the AudioThing website says about Lines, the experimental multi-effect and feedback synthesizer. Well, here it is in its big window mode. And, it looks just like the piece of gear that Hainbach has in his studio. And I'll just say, definitely visit his channel to see him lugging it around and a very thorough breakdown of the gear. Well, there's a bunch of different sort of panes, window sort of components to it. As you can see, a pulse sequencer over here on the right. Let's turn it on. Nice to have noise, isn't it? Now, if all this wasn't enough, we've got distortion of a couple of levels. Play around with a low pass or not. Well, you can see how all this sort of starts to work. And we want to have the limiter on because when you start playing around with feedback, this thing can start to howl. Okay, let's just hop into some of these. So here's something that is just I guess we'd just have to call it an effect on my electric piano. You hear the stereo? That is so cool. I'm going to increase the leakage and bring the mix down a bit. Oh, that's pretty. I could play with that. These effects are a ball, and there's a ton of them, just basic ones, from phasing and vibrato and rotary effects to overdrive. And the overdrive's fairly powerful. Not a bad distortion. In fact, I think it's modeled very, very nicely. There's a little bit of controls over here, which I think I want to click on and show you. Diode temperature drift. It gives you a slightly different vibe in the sound. If you can turn it off or on and make it just like perfectly clean, and that affects especially pitch. The Daleks were in Doctor Who. You remember that? It's the real radiophonic effect. It's almost like you can hear the sidebands because of the way the frequency shift is happening. I'm playing a single note. Exterminate, exterminate. I wish I could put it in my voice really easily, but I can't. Well, on top of the basic effects, we also have rhythms, and these rhythms just operate by themselves. Now, this is just kind of a little beat, right? And I can actually play the keyboard over the top of that. I'm just giving it some notes, and you can hear what's happening. add some audio to it, and you get a whole different kind of world. Again, this is the kind of sound that I associate with actual gear. Very intense. We're going to try some drums in a second. I mean, this is solid, right? So much fun. That's just a piano going into it. What a landscape, such a wide stereo picture. You know, the real fun of this, and I was playing around with it earlier, is making your own patches. And I won't subject you to me doing it, but if you just grab almost any one of these knobs and start fiddling around, you're going to get some interesting effects, as you can imagine. Going into the scapes, you'll be interested in these. These are more like kind of feedbacky, crazy effects. And they get interesting when you play around with the bandpass filters. How much feedback and leakage applies can really start to create some remarkable changes. Full sidebands. Yep, you can hear extra notes coming in. Now, if this limiter wasn't on right now, I suspect we'd be killing ourselves. Let's listen to a few more scapes. It's easy to make little baby bird noises with this. You get the idea. There are birds in the machine. I love this one. Listen. That's right out of the Radiophonics workshop there. So much fun. Let's hop over to this little beat I made, because I think you'll be interested in this. Here's the beat by itself. And using Rusty Modem, I think I went to high school with Rusty Modem. He was a great downhill skier. I've created an effect for the loop. Here we go. So we're really just hearing this effect. Now, awful loud, ain't it? I'm going to add wires, another Hainbach plugin. Here we go. Wires is an old wire recorder. So much fun. And then for a little extra color, we're going to send it through Hainbach's gong amp. And I just have this feeling that I'm now in a sort of a post-swordfish trombone Tom Waits world. I totally want to get out my guitar and hand it to Mark Rebo. Well, these are computer versions of hardware, right? But they've done a terrific job of sort of capturing the feeling and the sound of old diodes and tubes of mechanical devices interacting with electrical signals, and that sort of dusty, somewhat chaotic effect that you can get. Thank goodness for limiters. I'll just say that. Well, I hope that was useful. It's certainly fun for me. I love these Hainbach plugins. They're a ball, and they really take me back to the days when I was just kind of a young synthesis student. Well, like and subscribe. Ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos. I'll see you next time.